Alright guys, we will start in a minute. Don't forget to leave your name and section number and why you're here. If you haven't been here for more than 5 times, you can get an extra credit. 1 point of extra credit for being here. Okay, it's 7:30, so I think we'll start. Okay, I might have to come back and forth because I usually have 2 monitors, so I usually have 2 computers, so I can look at the questions with 1 monitor and the PowerPoint lecture with the other monitor. And the computer that I'm using at school right now, it's like super slow. I don't know if it's the internet or I don't know if it's computer. But okay, let's start. We don't have time. 1 second. I need to turn off myself so you don't hear me twice. Cool. Hi, Lindsay. Okay, let's start. I'm gonna do a screen share. Sorry, you see my lab. I couldn't find a study room in the library. So, okay, you all see me okay and hear me okay, right? Cool. Let's start. So this is the last TA office hour. There's another chapter left. It's about like weight management and obesity. I think it'll be interesting for you tomorrow. So there will be, like you already know probably from the final exam information that Dr. Wingren sent to us, that there will be 6 questions on, I'm gonna have my face off. So there will be 6 questions per the exam. So exam 1, like the chapters from exam 1 will have 1 dang it, the computer went off. Okay, so the chapters from exam 1 will have 6 questions. Chapters from exam 2 will have 6 questions. Chapters from exam 3 will have 6 questions. And then there are 4 chapters, I think. Is it like 12, 13, 9, and 8 or something like that? Anyway, the last chapters that we learned, per chapter there will be 9 questions. And then there are 10 questions that Dr. Wingren just wrote. It's not from the bank, it's not from the LearnSmart. It's something that she talked about in the class throughout the semester. So there will be 10 questions, just like overall question. Sorry, I'm gonna re-log into my computer. Anyway, there will be 65 minutes, 55 questions. I think that's all. Yeah. And I looked at I'm gonna change it to the screen now. I looked at the list that she sent you, all of you, to study for the exam, and I think that will be helpful because I think it will be like very helpful to look at it because she actually handpicked the questions from the question bank, and like the ones that she thinks it's important and we emphasized enough in the lecture. So as she was picking those questions, that's what the list that she wrote. So I think that will be very helpful to like review them. But if you don't have like if you don't have tons of time studying everything, definitely study more for the chapters that we haven't got tested yet, because that's like half of the questions. the final questions. Okay. If you haven't done this, the extra credit survey, I think it's called the end of semester engagement survey. If you haven't done it, and if you do, that's 5 extra credits, like 5 points extra credits. So do that. That can help you. Metabolism. So I explained to you what that means, like beginning of the semester. So I don't know if you remember that. But also Dr. Rengren talked about in the class that the chemical reactions. So the chemistry that happens in our body is metabolism. And then when that chemistry happens to get an energy, it's energy metabolism. I'm gonna give you like 20 seconds to read it, and then you probably know the answer if you watched the lecture already. But I'm gonna give you like 10 seconds, and then I will tell you the answer. Okay. What is the answer? It's B vitamins, right? Number 2. B vitamins. It's most of them. There are many B vitamins, and many of them often function as coenzyme in metabolism, energy and metabolism. Okay, we'll talk about this later, but just know that catabolism is breaking down, like the big chain gets broken down to this little unit. Anabolism means building, so this unit becomes the chain. So in our body, ATP is the molecule. It's the chemical molecule in our body that stores the energy so that we can use them whenever we need, when we breathe, when our heart needs to work, when we walk, right? That's what it looks like. You don't need to know. Mitochondria. So mitochondria is where the most of ATP gets produced. That's what it looks like, and it's inside of the cell. And it works so the ATP gets produced in mitochondria only when it's aerobic. So when we have enough oxygen to process the process, I guess. So that's something you probably want to kind of know that can help you navigate the question and answer the question. Okay, review of carbohydrate. Sorry, I forgot to mention this before we start. So remember last time when I did the review last week, I didn't go through all of the sustainability chapter, but you need to know that there are some questions from that sustainability chapter. So you do want to kind of read it through. It's not gonna be super, I guess it's not gonna be complicated, but you just need to know the red highlighted ones, and also like the general, like what is like sustainable practice, and what can we do to help in like individual level and stuff like that. She talked about that in the class. So maybe watching the lecture again, like that part, and make sure yeah, last week in the beginning of the class, right? So just watching the lecture a little bit can help you what to know for the final. Okay, now I said that, let's go to this. So carbohydrate, it has 4 calories per gram, right? And she mentioned this in the lecture also. So we can digest carbohydrate in different forms. Like it can be disaccharide, it can be monosaccharide, it can be oligosaccharide, which is like a long chain, or polysaccharide. However, our body needs to break it down into monosaccharides. So only monosaccharides are absorbed in our GI tract. So our body needs to break it down. Glucose has 6 carbon. You kind of want to know this, just said because so that you can recognize the structure, I think. So you just need to know that glucose has 6 carbon, and we're gonna go through the metabolism of carbohydrate. I'm gonna see if we don't have any question. I don't think we do. Sorry for that screen. Do we? One sec. We do. Sorry, the other computer just turned off itself. This is awful. I'm sorry. I'm reopening the monitor so I can see the both questions and the PowerPoint. So 1 second. So how long will we have to take the test and how many questions? So I answered that there's 55 questions and there will be 65 minutes, and that's on the paper that she gave you, the link that she sent you. If you can find it, Bailey, let me know. I can like redrag and then send it to you probably. Oh, okay, awesome. I have it again. Good, thank you. I'm so sorry. I just need to have two windows. Okay. When is the last day to take the final? I assume that will be May 6th. Anyone know? I think it's May 6th. But you probably want to go back to that page and check. Can I say pass the lectures if I'm taking this class? Yes. So all the lectures, really, it's on the module. You know how in Canvas, when you go into Canvas, I can show you here because it's important. Let me change the view to my screen. Okay, if you haven't known that we could watch all the lectures, here you go how to do it. So online lecture. And then go to module here. And then chapter 1 through 4, whatever. So for exam 1, exam 2, right? Oh, here is all the lectures from that chapter. So that's the way that you can go and watch. It's all there. So hopefully that's not going to be a problem. So Lindsay said, what list that she sent us? Do you know when she sent it? Okay, here. I can show you that too. So go to announcements here. And it was sneaky. I didn't know till she mentioned it in the class. Where is it? It's this one. Complete, I think. No, that's not it. Which one is it? I saw it earlier today. No. Did she not send it to you? Let me go to section 4. Maybe she sent it to other section and maybe forgot to send it to you. I'm sorry, we're like wasting time. I'll find it and I'll send it to you. Oh, here you go. You have this in online section 2. So it's called week 14, chapter 8 review of chapter 5, 6, and 7. And here you can click this. And here you go. Here's the list. So it says like how many questions there. Let's see when it ends. She mentioned it here too. So it starts on May 2nd after 6 a.m. in the morning. It ends on Thursday, not Friday, Thursday at 6 p.m. So It's under announcement called Week 14, Chapter 8, and review of Chapter 5, 6, and 7. And here's a list of stuff like the review, I guess, vocab that you kind of need to be familiar with. And it's like it has it under what exam that it was under. So this is like a good review for the previous exams. For the newer ones, you will have to just watch the lecture and do the homework and study. So, okay, did it help? Will you please send us the link that you're talking about? I'm not sure if I've seen it. Okay, I will put that link. Oh, sorry, I'm like making everyone feel dizzy. So in case you can't find it after we're done, I will put that link on the chat, like Canvas chat. Or yeah, I think I can do it. So I'll put that on the Canvas chat. Okay, let's keep going because we spent like 15 minutes doing this. Okay, so, but that was important, so that was good. Carbohydrate, how it gets metabolized. Glycolysis is the first step. Second step is citric acid cycle, or TCA cycle, Krebs cycle. It's all the same thing. The third step is electron transport chain. So these two steps that happen in mitochondria, the one that I showed you in the cell, but this one does not happen in mitochondria. This produce a little bit of ATP, not too much, but it's not as effective. When carbohydrate, protein, and fat goes through these two steps, it can produce a large amount of ATP, and that's a very good thing. It's very efficient. Okay, so I'm gonna actually have this here also because I'm gonna come back to this picture probably over and over. So I'm gonna have it in two different windows. Okay, so like I said here, there's carbohydrate. It can be carbohydrate. It can be, well, in this case, let's go with the carbohydrate for now. So carbohydrate, like I said, it needs to go through the catabolism, breaking down into monosaccharides, which is glucose in this case. And glucose has 6 carbons. So 1 unit of glucose, 6 carbons, and it goes through the process called glycolysis. You need to know this name, glycolysis. It produces a little ATP. You see a little ATP here? And it becomes pyruvate. So glucose becomes pyruvate. And that's 3 carbons, right? We started with 6 carbons, and then it's divided into 2 pyruvates, 3 carbons each. And then 1 carbon gets taken out in the process from pyruvate to acetyl-CoA. Now we are in mitochondria, and like she mentioned in the class, anything that can become acetyl-CoA can go through this TCA cycle and electron transport chain and produce, like, be super efficient and produce a lot of ATP. Okay. One thing, I don't know if I will mention, well, I'll mention it here, but we talk about it later again. One thing about this TCA cycle is that it's a cycle. And if something happens over here, this cycle it stops. It can't happen anymore. And what this is right here, it's called oxaloacetate. You don't need to know it, but oxaloacetate from pyruvate, right? And pyruvate is made from glucose. So, like I mentioned, protein and fat can also become acetyl-CoA to make those ATP, even though carbohydrate is our main source of energy. But if we don't have carbohydrate, protein and fat may become acetyl-CoA, but this cycle is not working, so it doesn't make efficient amount of ATP, and that can be a problem because we don't make ATP as efficiently and we won't have a lot of energy, right? Okay. 3 carbons, what is it? Pyruvate. 2 carbon with CoA at the end. That's your hint. If you see CoA, that's acetyl-CoA with 2 carbons. This is, I think this is glucose. They kind of like there are different structure models they have. This is glucose. The way I know is there's 6 carbons, right? So that's glucose. Okay, terminology. Glycogenolysis. So lysis or lysis, that means breakdown. Every time you see lysis, you need to know that it's breaking down to smaller unit. Glycogen. So as it says, it's breaking down the glycogen. What is glycogen? Glycogen is the storage of all this glucose in liver and muscle. So when we have enough glucose, we store them. Typically, we store them to use it enough for like maybe 24 hours. But if we don't eat during that time, we start breaking things down, make it into monosaccharide, which is glucose, so it can be used as energy, go through glycolysis, citric cycle, and electron transportation, and make ATP. Because my thingy is not working, I have to go back and check if there's questions that I didn't check. Can we see? Also trying to make last minute no. Okay. So Bailey also asked, can we make up test or late assignments to get a better grade? You can if you have really good excuse. But for some of them, it might be a little too late to do it. But you can still do extra credits. Gabrielle said, what percent are we at for the amount of people who have taken the end of semester survey? Will we get the okay, so Gabrielle, there are end of semester surveys. So there, well, okay, so there is end of semester. There's so many questions. There are there are engagement survey. That's nothing to do with the school. That's for the class purpose, so that we can improve the class design and stuff. And there is a survey for the course, right? The one comes from the, I'm gonna stop this so you don't have to look at it. The one comes from the school. Last time when I talked to Dr. Wengreen, I think that was like 50%. She said she's gonna mention that tomorrow again. So I think it will go up to 75%, but so far I think it's 50%. So if you haven't done that, do it so that you can get like a free easy questions on the exam, like 2 questions, right? Could there possibly be a test curve? I don't think there will be. I think it's been the average of the tests have been, I think, higher, probably a little bit, like a couple points higher than what Dr. Wengreen wants. So I don't think there will be curve. But, and yes, it is comprehensive. But like I said, the parts that hasn't been tested will be more heavily weighted on the test. So make sure you study those, and go through the sheet that she gave you. I explained how to find it earlier in this video. Go through the terminologies that will help you. So that's my tip. If you still have question after you hear what I said earlier in this video, let me know. I will be more than happy to help you. Okay, I think that's all. I think I will go over more than 30 minutes today. I don't want to just stop because I don't want you to, if you need help, I want you to help you. So we might go over 8 o'clock. But I'll try to do as fast as I can. Gluconeogenesis. So whenever we see genesis, that means making, synthesis, making, baking. Neo is new, right? So we're making brand new glucose. We're not getting glucose from glycogen that's already here. We're making brand new glucose from fat, or no, sorry, we can't make it from fat. We're making it from pyruvate, like I said earlier. We mentioned this earlier. Some like protein, lactate, glycerol. Glycerol is just like a sugar alcohol. You don't need to know probably what it is, but you just need to know that you probably want to know that you can make it from lactate, pyruvate, and protein. Um, some cells need glucose. So why do we do gluconeogenesis? Is because some cells, I don't know if it's important, but maybe it is. So it occurs in liver and kidney, not in muscle. So liver does a lot of things. Um, but like we know, like brain, red blood cell, or some central nerve system, they have to have glucose. If they don't function well. And you and because central nervous system, we need glucose. If we don't have enough glucose because you have diabetes, you have a condition like diabetes, and the insulin is not working as it should, or you don't have insulin, so we can absorb those glucose into our body to make energy. Then you can get something called hypoglycemia, and you like shake, you don't have energy, and like you feel dizziness, and you just don't feel good. Okay, that's all for the carbohydrate. Let's go to lipid. So lipid, just like carbohydrate has different forms, like monosaccharide, disaccharide, or was it polysaccharide, oligosaccharide, polysaccharide. Polysaccharide is the one that she used. Um, so there are different forms of carbohydrate, right? There are different forms of lipids also, but the dietary fat that we eat is triglyceride. That's what it looks like. So triglyceride has this glycerol backbone. Oh, here's the glycerol. That's why you need to know. So you know how this glycerol backbone, it has 1, 2, 3 carbons. They can also go into gluconeogenesis and make glucose if we don't have anything and brain is it. Um, and then triglycerides have this glycerol backbone and 1, 2, 3 fatty acids. This is all review, so you should heard this. You should have heard about this before. Fat. So when we eat fat, it gets emulsified by bile. Do you remember where bile gets produced? It gets produced from liver. Like I said, liver does a lot of things. And it gets stored in gallbladder, and whenever we eat lipid, the bile comes out and it emulsifies it so that it can be digested by lipase. This is the enzyme. Whenever it has this ASE, that's enzyme, right? And then and then and then those like emulsify the fat gets like packaged into little bowls. That's called lipoproteins, and lipoproteins have 3 different types. There are chylomicrons, LDL, and HDL. HDL is the healthy one. It's a healthy. LDL is low density lipoprotein, so it's not as healthy if we have way too much of them. And the fat has 9 calories per gram. We know that. Okay, so fat. So after they get emulsified with bile, they go into our GI tract as a chylomicron or LDL or HDL, right? And then it gets absorbed. Then it goes into our cell. Here's mitochondria again. So fatty acid needs to go into mitochondria to produce all those ATPs here, like here, right? Produce a lot of ATP. Don't look at this part, just look at that part. So produce a lot of ATP in mitochondria, right? So it's, you don't need to know this, just said, but carnitine makes it possible, makes the process possible. So so fatty acid goes into mitochondria, and then it goes under the process called beta oxidation. You need to know this. For fatty acid, it goes under beta oxidation and make acetyl CoA. We saw this here, acetyl CoA. So carbohydrate does glycolysis, becomes, so glucose go through glycolysis, become pyruvate, and became acetyl CoA. For lipid, it goes through, carnitine helps to come into mitochondria, and then it goes through beta oxidation. It's called beta oxidation, and then it becomes acetyl CoA. 2 carbon units, right, with the CoA at the end. And then it enters citric cycle just like glucose and goes to electron transport chain and make tons of ATPs. I mentioned this earlier, so maybe I will mention it still. So we already know that we need carbohydrate, and that's because here, after the lipid became acetyl CoA, we need glucose. Well, glucose that became pyruvate that became oxaloacetate to do this cycle to do this electron transport chain and make ATP. So that's what this means. And when there's no pyruvate, there's no citric acid cycle, so we can't make ATP. So then in that case, the acetyl CoAs, so this acetyl CoAs, it cannot go through this cycle, right? No, it can't. So it goes the other way and become ketone. So ketones, they are kind of like glucose, but they're not as, so they're kind of glucose from fatty acid. Remember I said protein, pyruvate, glycerol, all those can become glucose, but fatty acid cannot become glucose, right? It can become ketones, but it has a low pH in our body. It has lower pH than we need in our body. So when we have way too much ketone, it can cause death. So it's not a good thing. If you have diabetes, if you starve for a long time, that's what you start making genesis. So you start synthesizing ketone, and you will have way too much ketone in our body. Okay, last one, protein. I'm gonna go see if we have more questions. Okay. I think we don't have more questions, so that's good. Okay, let's go back and do this. Protein. So you probably know there are 20 of them and 9 are essential. That means we have to make them in our we can't naturally make it in our body. Unique thing about protein, it has nitrogen in the chemical structure, right? That's how you recognize it. If there's N in the chemical structure, that's nitrogen. Protein provides 4 calories per gram, and it can be used for energy also. Okay. So if we eat way too much protein, if we eat tons of protein, does it all go to muscle? No, right? There's only so much our body can produce, or our body can make muscle. So if you eat way too much, which many of Americans eat more protein than we need, they all just be used as energy or stored as a fat. Okay, so this is like a master map. Protein gets broken down to amino acid in our stomach and GI tract. It can go through glycolysis. It can become acetyl CoA, or it can go to part of this cycle too. You don't need to know this. It's just, you just need to know that anything that can be converted into acetyl CoA can provide energy. That's why protein, carbohydrate, and fat are 3 sources that give us energy. Like vitamins and minerals, they don't do that, right? So this is like a master map of catabolic process. Let's go to let's go to I think anabolic process. You don't need to know. It's like she just wanted to show you that it's all complicated and they all overlap. Ethanol, so alcohol. The way you can recognize ethanol is there's two carbons and OH. Whenever you see OH here, that's or like whenever you see like no like OL at the end of the name, that means it's alcohol. So ethanol is alcohol. It provides 7 calories per gram, and it can also be converted as acetyl-CoA, as we predicted, right? So alcohol is a little bit different from carbohydrate, protein, or fat because it doesn't need digestion. It just gets absorbed right away. So 20% of them gets absorbed through from stomach, and 80% of them gets absorbed in the small intestine. And in stomach lining, the lining cell of stomach, or in the liver, I thought it says somewhere here, liver. So liver does a lot of things, right? So liver, they have an enzyme called ADH, alcohol dehydrogenase, and this allows more alcohol to be absorbed. And oh, sorry, I was reading this. So we need to have this alcohol dehydrogenase to break down alcohol. So what happens if we don't have if we can't break down, if we don't have this enzyme and we can't break down, then alcohol will stay in our blood system forever, and you'll be drunk forever, right? So that's another reason why um, men can drink more than female and stay sober a little bit, like they're stronger, they look a little bit stronger. It's because they have more of ADH and they don't get they metabolize it and break it down really fast. So the alcohol doesn't stay in your blood for too long. Also food, when you eat food like that has carbohydrate, fat, and protein, it needs to stay in our stomach before it goes through the GI tract. So the alcohol doesn't get absorbed right away. It kind of stays in the stomach with the food, so it like slows down the process, and then it gives more time for ADH in the stomach lining cell to break it down. So um, that's the mechanism behind it. Just know those 7 calorie. Alcohol not metabolized by the stomach or liver circulates in the blood and travels to the brain, and that's why sometimes people don't remember what happened after they drink way too much alcohol. And if we do that chronically, if we do it for a long period of time, then it can damage the brain, right? Okay, I think that's all she covered in the class. I don't think she covered this in the class yet. So hopefully she'll do that tomorrow. But make sure you come to the class tomorrow, and I will be online on doing chatting. So on Canvas chat. So if you have a question, you can send me a question. If I can't answer right away, I will answer it a little bit later, or like I will send an email to you. If it's something I don't know, I will ask Dr. Wingreen and get back to you. So do that. And good luck with the exam. And let me know if you have any questions. Okay, bye.